Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tatvamasyadhilakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. All right. So, a very warm welcome to today's webinar. All of us I know have gathered today for enriching us and others for the May Inner Awakening celebrations. And today is indeed for me also personally a remarkable milestone, a day I'll remember. This is the first session I'm taking for the online cities and everyone after receiving the blessings of sannyas from Swamiji. Only when they were putting the Kavi chair, I realized, oh, for the first time I'm going to sit in a Kavi chair. So, it's indeed a very auspicious moment. And especially because today, Kala Bhairava Darshan we had in the Inner Awakening program. And I happened to ask blessings for all of us. And Kala Bhairava said, whoever is there in the webinar today, whoever it is, all of them will complete the May Inner Awakening very successfully, very happily. So it will be a very beautiful completion for each and every person who's connected to us today, in whichever form, in this webinar. So it's whether you're on a two-way, whether you're on a one-way, Ustream, in whichever form we have people talking to us, listening to us today. Very clearly Kala Bhairava said that all of them will be blessed by him, that they attend and complete the May Inner Awakening program very, very successfully. So I wanted to start today's session with this good news. So congratulations, all of you out there who are there. Consider you have completed the program. Because when Kala Bhairava says it, that's what it is. It becomes that, as all of us already know. So, before we get into the exact questions, a lot of us have sent questions. And before we get there, before we see what is it that we can do differently than what we are doing now, before we get to understand any of that, we'll first look at the first basic understandings about the principles itself. So I'll not go over what Swamiji has been sharing. I hope all of us have been following the morning satsang. Swamiji has been continuously, I think for the past 3 months, continuously speaking about the 4 tatvas in various different forms, in various dimensions where we can apply them in our life. Today we'll speak specifically to the context of this webinar. And the context of this webinar being there are many of us out there very interested in coming and being enriched and taking a commitment to enrich life by participating in the May Inner Awakening celebrations program. And somehow we have maybe some hindrances, some barriers that stop, that at the present moment look like will not allow us to complete the program. So the context of today's webinar is to enrich ourselves, to powerfully stand up in the face of the impossible to make it possible. Really, Swamiji's whole life has been a shining example of just this one thing, standing up in the face of no possibility and somehow just being there all the time. It's not about him that I'm speaking, it's about each one of us that he holds. He holds each one of us, allowing us to stand up, making us, literally inspiring us every single day to stand up in the face of no possibility and showing us the path to possibility. So today's webinar's context is also the same. How do you make the impossible possible in your life? The impossible being, for many of us, it's impossible to have 21 days off. For many of us, it's impossible to even think of it in a dream to have $6,000 be available. So the impossible definition can be defined in so many ways for so many of us. For many of us, it's impossible to even talk about Swamiji or the mission anywhere inside the house. So coming out, stepping out of the house, not just to another place in your city, but to a faraway land called India, spending time there without the knowledge of the family seems impossible. Isn't it? So today we will speak about what is it that we can do to have the impossible manifest as the possible. We'll look at what is the thin line that differentiates the both the dimensions called impossible and possible. So before we get there, quickly would like to speak about anything that seems impossible for us, seems so inside the context of one or more of the four tattvas not completely being expressed through us. At every single moment in time in life, continuously the space we are in is evolving. And when the space we are in is evolving, the capacity to express life, the capacity to breathe and live in life itself is expanding. So the four basic fundamental tattvas, the principles of life, which is integrity, authenticity, responsibility and enriching, also are continuously expanding inside us. We'll start the session with this consideration that the basics of the four tattvas is not what we are going to talk now anyways, because all of us by now we have been listening it over and over again from Swamiji, so we'll not be speaking much about that. Quickly to share it in case somebody is completely new and they are also there participating in this session. The four tattvas, which are the Chatur Vedas of Nithyananda Dhyanapitam as shared by Swamiji. The first one is integrity. Integrity is you fulfilling and honoring your word. The words and thoughts that you give to yourself and others, fulfilling those words as if the word is your life, fulfilling it that way, and in the process experiencing purnatva, completion with you in life. That's integrity. Authenticity is you living to the peak of your capability at any moment in time and responding to life from who you believe yourself to be for yourself, from who you project yourself to be to others, and from who others expect you to be for them. So the three images we carry: my image about myself, the image I project about the others, the image I project about myself to others, and the image that others carry about me. In all these three dimensions, whichever is the highest possibility that I can live with at any given point in time, living to the highest capability of that, when I am there, living fully to that, then I am being authentic. That is authenticity. Authenticity is living to the peak of my capacity in every form that I exist. You and me exist in only these three forms as long as we live with the mind, which is we exist for ourselves. In the image we carry about ourselves, we exist for others. In the outer image, the inner image is the image you carry about yourself. Outer image is the image you project to others as you, and others' image is the image others carry about you. So these are the only three forms in which we exist in life. When we live to the peak of our capacity in all of these, then we are living in the space and state of authenticity. Then the third tattva is responsibility, where responsibility is living and responding to life from the understanding that you are the source of everything that's happening in and around you, and therefore you are responsible for all the happenings in your life, inside and outside you. And then of course we have the final one, enriching, which is every moment in life continuously being committed to enriching, which is expanding myself and life around me continuously. These 4 principles put together as an as-lived experience is the space and state called enlightenment itself. So today, we specifically, as I was sharing, the context of today's webinar is to look at how do I transition, how do I transform myself from the space of impossible to possible. As I said, what seems impossible for us to attend and participate in the May Inner Awakening Celebrations program, we look at how do I make that as a possibility and how do I manifest that as a reality. And inside of that, we started speaking about the 4 tattvas. So first thing that we will look at, first thing to consider is whenever I am stuck with something in my life, whether that is a finance problem, whether that is a relationship, or whether that is a commitment at work, whatever that is, whenever I am stuck with something which I want to move forward to, leave and move, whenever I am stuck with a space where I feel, oh God, it's impossible to get out of this and get what I want, be very clear, the space of the 4 tattvas is not completely there where you are. It may be there to a certain extent. To live life itself, we will need the 4 tattvas to a certain extent. So the 4 tattvas may be available to a certain extent, but they are not there to the peak maximum of what's possible and available for you at that point in time. Only when the 4 tattvas are not resonating at their peak, at their maximum capacity, you will start experiencing being stuck with life. Being stuck with apparently something which seems impossible. Where you feel, oh, this is impossible. I can't do anything about it now. I can't move forward from this. So the space of impossibility itself happens in me when I am not living up till the peak capacity of all the 4 tattvas. Means I'm not being at the peak of integrity, I'm not being at the peak of authenticity, I'm not being at the peak of responsibility, or I'm not being peak of enriching. When the peak is not happening in these 4 principles, you will automatically start experiencing a space where you have conflict or hindrance or you feel stuck somewhere or the other in your life. So today, of course, we'll work specifically with relationship to May Inner Awakening Celebration Program, but actually you can apply this to any aspect of your life. Be very clear, if you're not able to move and fulfill what you took on as a word, what you gave in the mission, when you do some kind of a seva, when you're working as a volunteer and you're not able to do it, be very clear, even in your life, you will not be able to do it. Because life and what happens in the Sangha when you participate here, they are the 2 sides of the same coin. So today we'll now first look at the questions we have and look at the different situations. What are the different scenarios inside of which we have this experience of what? Experiencing the impossible space where I know, oh God, nothing is possible beyond this. I have done everything I can do and still it's not happening. So we'll look at what to do, where to go and how to make a difference to these areas.